Hello! Welcome to the Religion Unplugged podcast, your one stop shop for all the best religious news and culture. I am your host, Joseph Holmes, film critic, book critic, and culture critic with Religion Unplugged. Really excited today. We are going to be talking about The Unbreakable Boy, the latest movie from Kingdom Story Company. Well, we are pleased to welcome here today Kevin Downs. Kevin is a filmmaker, actor, and producer with over 30 years in the industry with such films as Courageous and I Can Only Imagine, and co-founder and CEO of Kingdom Story Company, where he's made such films as I Still Believe, Jesus Revolution, and The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. His latest film with Kingdom Story Company, The Unbreakable Boy, is in theaters starting February 21st. Welcome, sir. It's good to talk to you again.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you.
So, first off, let's get this out of the way. What is The Unbreakable Boy about, and what attracted you to making this project?
Yeah, it's a family drama that has a great cast. They deliver some incredible performances. Um, it's almost like it's a domestic family drama that's lead is this 12-year-old boy who's got this rare brittle bone disease called osteogenesis imperfecta. Say that three times fast. But he also has autism, and so he sees the world in a much different lens. And what I love about it is, you do have voiceover throughout it because you want to hear this world is sort of told through his eyes, and you're experiencing his family's journey. So the film is about the family, but told through the lens of this young man who's got an unquenchable thirst for life. He just sees things differently that sometimes adults might say the glass is half empty, and he's like, no, 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 it's half full. This is a celebration. Let's just go get it. And so what happened was this was actually originally pitched to us as a book, true life story, and it was pitched to us as a television show about 5 to 6 years ago. And when the pandemic started, we had an idea of, I wonder what would happen if we made this into a movie. And Jon Gunn, who's a great writer and director, had a great take. And he's like, you know what? We liked his take. He's like, let me just take a stab at a draft. And we loved his draft. His draft was so good. We're like, oh my gosh, this is so rich. And I think, when we make this film, whenever the right time is to come out, it'll be after the pandemic is over. But I think people are going to want to resonate with these themes of bravery, these themes of having a different perspective on life. Life can throw you a bunch of curveballs, a bunch of hardships and circumstances beyond our control. And yet how we respond to those things is what's going to be so critical. And to be honest, we shot it as a twofer. When we shot American Underdog, we had two films with Zach and kind of shot them back to back.
Wow.
We released American Underdog, and then we're going to come out. We had this one as a release date about 3 months later, and Omicron, the variant of the COVID virus, was kind of wrecking havoc, and so we decided to just pull it because we didn't have a whole lot of money into this film, and we decided to pull it and just sort of sit on it until the time was right. And Lionsgate, who have been incredible partners, so we didn't have distribution issues. That way, it was totally up to us about when to come out with the film, and we just wanted the election to be over, and we wanted oxygen to be in the atmosphere to where audiences would really crave for the themes that this movie is, because the performances are just so good.
Yeah, no, the performances are really amazing. I personally think it's some of Zachary Levi's best
Best
work.
work. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and
100%.
I'm always happy to see Patricia Heaton in anything.
Sure.
So that's definitely was really impressed by that. Now, excuse me. Now, your company, Kingdom Story Company, I would say it's pretty safe to say it's the biggest faith-based, company kind of producing content regularly today. Obviously, there's people, breaking in all the time, but you guys were responsible for almost all the major hits, recently. I mean, I've listed a few of them off, but you also got, Ordinary Angels and Unsung Hero. A lot of these movies coming out, often and really, people really resonating with them. So people who are not familiar with Kingdom Story Company, like how would you describe its mission and why are you, passionate about what you guys do?
Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of themes in our stories, and look, this works because our partnership at Lionsgate is so symbiotic. I mean, it really is incredible how much they get the types of movies that we want to make and release. It's the shorthand is almost mind blowing to me at this stage. And so, but our movies are basically best-selling books or true life stories that showcase the power of the gospel that end up climaxing with this rush of hope. And so you'll see that whether it's Best Christmas Pageant Ever, which was a best-selling book, and the end was like this rush of hope that brought people to tears and just a really, really great film. Or Unsung Hero was the same thing. Ordinary Angels, same thing. And so the amount that Jesus Revolution, which was interesting because Jesus is in the title. And so people thought that the movie would be one thing, and then all of a sudden we delivered something that sort of knocked them on their heads. Just because, first and foremost, storytelling matters. I mean, the way that you tell a story matters. We could have told Jesus Revolution in 10 different ways, and it could have been cheesy and bad and just rough dialogue and all of these things. But at the end of the day, we're filmmakers and we want to make movies that are actually engaging to people. We value people's time. We know you're paying anywhere from, $5 on a Tuesday to maybe $20 if you're in a big market. And we value the fact that you're taking the time and spending your money to come and watch our movie. So we want you to be entertained. At the same time, our mission is to make those true stories or best-selling IPs that have a rush of hope and really showcase what the power of the gospel can do in people's lives to really impact them in a way that you walk out of the theater going, I, this gives me something to think about. Like literally, I'm at odds with a friend or neighbor or relative, and I'm going to go give them a hug and say I'm sorry. It could be as simple as that. There's no real motivation outside of increasing this an unquenchable love for the human spirit in all of our films. And so I think you'll see that in all of our films. Those are the things that we're developing. Obviously IP is important, but it's important in every different genre of Hollywood, no matter what type of film you're making. It's so rare to see original stories get told. Not that that's impossible, but it's really, really tough from a marketing standpoint because these films are really risky at the end of the day. And studios are in the business of not losing money. That doesn't work. I mean, they're mostly publicly traded companies. And so we have a responsibility to be able to figure that out collectively and together. But what's great is there's an audience that's mostly in middle America that really resonates with the movies that we're sharing with them and the stories that we're telling.
Yeah, no, there's a couple of really interesting things about this that you just noted that one piece of it, which is that your audience. One of the things that makes what you guys do so impressive, among other things, is the fact that your audience tends to be the audience that goes to movies the least.
Mm,
You're not where I am. I'm in New York here among all the cinephiles who
yeah.
are, going to, using the AMC movie pass and going to, 3 4 movies a month. But the people who are going to your films tend to be people who go, once a month at that. But a lot of them are picking to see your films. And I think that, I was also talking to a friend earlier about how that Hollywood doesn't make, there's a lot of movies that Hollywood doesn't make anymore, but even like indie people are not really making slice of life films that are just about
Right.
ordinary people going through their ordinary lives and finding answers in the midst of that. Like, again, just going whether it's, Greenberg or, or 500 Days of Summer, just things like that used to get made a lot that aren't anymore. But really the only place to realize is in the faith-based industry, and particularly you guys, where you're telling stories about, oh, these are actual real stories that happen to real people. And here's how God did something, the gospel did something redemptive in there. And it does seem like people are looking for that, and that makes the world better in some way.
Yeah, I mean, people are looking for hope. I mean, for the most part, unless our main demo is women over 35. I mean, we know that. And so we're certainly going to cater to them. But they also have dates or husbands or spouses or brothers or whatever. And you make a great film, people like to talk about it and they
Yeah.
like to share it with people. I think that's where our traction has been great is we've got to make a good film first and foremost, but then continue to follow your formula so that when people show up for a Kingdom Story Company film, they know what they're getting themselves
Yeah.
into. And the quality's going to be good. I mean, look, you look at best Christmas pageant ever. I mean, it was our highest. I mean, if you go by Rotten Tomatoes, I mean, it was like what 97 and 91 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like the critics' ratings were out of this world for a film of ours that mostly tackles middle American audiences. And then you look at the demos that went and bought tickets. I think LA might have been the top market. I mean,
That's incredible. Yeah.
yeah, we're expanding into the coasts as the movies continue to get bigger, which is really, really great. I mean, all the way around, the mission is working, and
Yeah. Which is
we
something
get
you should
we're
feel real proud of.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, seriously. I mean, who would have thought? I mean, this is now our fifth theatrical release in 12 months. I never had a goal of doing that. It's exhausting, to be honest. But I'm thankful that there's an audience that has a hunger and a desire and a thirst for these types of films. And so that keeps us going. Because Andy Irwin, my partner, and I, we make movies for the audience. I mean, at the end of the day, we're making films for the audience. It's not for us. It's not like, hey, we think this is cool. Hopefully somebody comes. I've done that. I did that for the first 20 years of my career. I'm like, okay, I've done that. That's cool. But now we're making movies for the audience, and if they don't work for the audience, that's why we test our films so aggressively. And if they don't work, we make adjustments, and we make sure that before we get a movie out there, that audiences are really going to resonate and connect with it.
Yeah. Well, actually, I want to. This is so perfect. You're just teeing me up so well for my questions. I love it. My favorite kind of interview.
Yeah.
You have been in this industry for like longer than almost anybody.
9 lives. Yeah, I literally have 9 lives.
Yes.
That's the way it works.
I mean, I was looking it up. I was like, wait, this, yeah, about 30 years.
Yep.
So I have to ask, what would you say, the biggest difference between the industry then and now, both in terms of just how the industry works, but then also what the audience is like?
Good question. I had dinner last night with about 13 Lionsgate executives, and one of the things that they appreciate that I got my start in independent filmmaking, where I had to go raise the money. My brother and I are out raising the money. We were doing the marketing, we were doing the releasing, we were doing all that stuff. And so you can't take the independent movie out of me. I mean, that whole mindset and training, and that's why I love Lionsgate, because they theoretically are an independent studio. I mean, they're a studio for sure, but they have a different mindset than some of the bigger players around town, but yet they can get our movies everywhere, no different than anybody else, and sometimes even into greater release than maybe some of the other studios, which is really great. And the fact that they just get it is really tough to teach in a very stubborn industry as a whole. So, I just think that I go back to my roots, and I'm trying to continue to instill those as we continue to get bigger, to not lose track of our roots from those indie filmmaker roots, and just really thrive kind of in that circle instead of, because there's so much waste. There's so much waste
Oh
in
my gosh.
Hollywood spending. You can make a really good film for under 20 million bucks. You can make a film that looks like 30 or 40. If you just control and tackle the waste. And I think that's worked really well for us.
That's awesome. So let's say, there's the next generation of filmmakers, and particularly the next generation of filmmakers that are passionate about doing stuff, in the faith-based space. What would you say to somebody starting out now who wants to do that with their lives? How would you advise them to get started?
Yeah, I mean, look, for us, nobody handed us anything at all. I mean, myself and the Irwin brothers, when we made I Can Only Imagine, we had to raise the production money. We had to raise the marketing money. Once the film was done, we paid for the testing. And then I took the test results, like 30 or 50 pages, and sent that along with the movie to Hollywood studios to get distribution. And I was fortunate the movie was really good. And so that got us the distribution deal, but only because they didn't have to risk anything. It was just risking their name at the end of the day, because we put up all the marketing for that movie. And so we were betting on ourselves. At the end of the day, we were betting on ourselves. So my advice is, don't give up, and don't expect anybody to necessarily hand something over to you. I think to establish yourself, you're going to have to figure out a way to bet on yourself to be able to get up and off your feet. And then, now Kingdom Story Company, of course, with our partnership with Lionsgate, we're in our 8th year. They pay for all our overhead. They pay for all our productions, the marketing, all that stuff. I'm not raising money. I don't have to. But it started because I bet on myself, and we did, and it worked. And it's a risk, And so if that sounds too risky, then you can make independent, small budget films and just get somebody. Partnerships are everything. I think trying to do it on your own is really a hard route to go. I mean, there's so much work that is involved in developing, making, producing, and then even getting your film out into the marketplace. I don't advise doing it solo, but just, partnering up with friends and people that are like-minded like you and going after it.
That's awesome. Okay, one final question. If there's one thing that people would walk away from with The Unbreakable Boy after seeing it, what would you like that to be?
I think inspired about life. I mean, what I love about Austin and his journey is that, look, you're always dealing with hardships and consequences of things that are tough that you're dealing with in your life, and know that at the other end there can be a rainbow. It just depends on how you look at it and how you tackle the issue. And so, be encouraged if you're dealing with really, really difficult circumstances whether it's a relationship or a work situation, or your dreams just aren't being realized at the pace that you want to go. Know that how you look at it frames everything, and just be encouraged by the film. If you need some encouragement, this is the film for you. No matter what hardship or circumstance you're facing, this is the film for you.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much. And the movie is out in theaters February 21st. And if this sounds good, definitely go see that movie. Thank you so much, sir.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Now join us at the NYC Unbreakable Boy premiere for interviews with the cast and crew. Writer-director Jon Gunn. How does it feel to be part of the sort of renaissance of faith-based movies? There's a bunch of them coming out every year of, high quality that's getting good reviews and people are really enjoying.
I mean, it's been a real honor. It's been a lot of years for me telling stories that address issues of faith that are inspirational, aspirational, and I feel like every single time we want to make them with the highest standards, as excellent as we can, and we have watched as the audience has grown more and more and more, and that always helps when people understand that there is a large audience. Then you can put more resources, and those resources afford you the ability to work with higher caliber people and put more money on the screen. And I think that, but at the heart of it, it has been that people want stories like this. Stories they can watch with their families, stories that inspire them. So I've been honored to be a part of that.
So what is the secret to making good faith-based movies?
I think it's the same as making any good film. It's finding the honesty and the humanity in the story, whatever that story is, and telling it with truth.
So for the final question, what was it that jumped out to you about this story, The Unbreakable Boy, that made it something that's, I have to make this my next project?
I was so charmed by this book. It made me smile, it filled my heart, but ultimately it's a story about gratitude, and I love that message, and I love sharing that, that every day can be the best day of your life. That Austin, with all of his struggles, was a kid filled with joy, and I'm so honored to share that.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Scott, it's really great to talk to you. What's the best part of seeing your story up on the big screen?
Well, I mean, there's a few, I think, things to kind of unpack there. Number one, I think it's entertaining. You're going to laugh, you're going to cry. I think that Lionsgate and Kingdom and Jon Gunn, the writer-director, they made a wonderful story, and I think it's an amazing representation of my story. Just nailed it, and so I think I totally lost my train of thought there, but I think they're going to get a story that was so well done, and I just hope that it touches people so that they can walk in and when they leave, take something away from it that translates to their own life.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Drew Powell.
Yes, sir.
What is the thing that was most rewarding about making this movie?
To me, it was making a movie about a real family that lives in Omaha and goes through their daily lives, and this movie shines a light on what it means to stay stay together, to be resilient, to be a parent of a special needs kid, to have that love and faith and hope that the next day is going to be better, and to shine a spotlight on them. That's so special.
Right. Thank you so much. Amy Acker, you've been in a unique position of having been in a lot of Hollywood productions and also quite a few faith-based productions. So what would you say the biggest difference is between the two sets, the two experiences?
I like to think that there's not too much. You want it to be a good story, and you want it to be. Most of the faith-based movies I have been in have been based on real people, so that's been a difference. It's kind of more like real life stuff than fiction. It's a good question.
I always like asking that. People give different answers. That's kind of fun. What was the most rewarding part of being part of this story?
The story itself is so touching and wonderful, and I feel like getting to be a part of a movie that has this kind of positive message and that makes you question your own choices and decisions and want to be better. I love any movie that does that.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the movie, yeah. Hey, Zachary Levi, great job in the movie. I'm a big fan. You've been both part of Hollywood and faith-based productions now. What's the biggest difference about being on set of both, being part of both?
I mean, maybe budgets. I don't know. Listen, I don't think that there's really that much of a difference. It's just that you're trying to work with people that want to make good stuff, whether it's got faith in it or not. Just make excellent stuff, and truth is found in it.
Yeah.
So if you're really trying to make something actually excellent, then you'll be telling stories that resonate truthfully with people, and then let that truth speak for itself. And sometimes that's a spiritual truth, and sometimes that's an emotional truth, or physical truth, or historical truth. But go be excellent, and sometimes there's faith in that.
Well, so what's truthful and excellent about this movie?
Everything. It's about the human condition, and it's a true story about real people. Go see it.
Fantastic. Pilot Bunch. So, what was the most fun part of playing this role and being on the set, and what was the most difficult part?
Most fun was developing the relationships with Gavin and Jacob. We truly have become almost brothers, and I love these guys. They're so cool, and some of the coolest people I've ever met on set. And I'm so glad I got to shoot this all right here. I think just building that bond with Gavin and Jacob was probably the funnest part.
That's awesome. Yeah. And what was the hardest part?
Hardest part. In terms of character, or just set life in general.
Anything.
In terms of character, it would probably be overcoming just having to bully Jacob in a sense.
Right.
Because it was almost like my brother himself has autism, and it was almost looking into a mirror of like, it was weird because I was like, wait, this is like someone doing this to my brother. It was hard realizing, but I'm thankful for that realization because I have more of an understanding of what he goes through too. And I think set-wise, the hardest thing was we filmed during COVID. So I mean, everybody was hunkered down. It was kind of hard to navigate set and masks and all the things. But we did an amazing job. We kept everybody safe, and I feel like overall it was beautiful.
That's fantastic. Well, what do you think? You talked about your brother having autism. What do you think is important about a movie like this that it does able to actually give representation for people with that issue?
Disability isn't always seen. It's not always, I have a thing, for lack of a better word.
Sure. My sister's in a wheelchair, and so that's obvious,
right,
but not everything is obvious.
So with autism, a lot of times, it's not face value. you know, but the way these people perceive and understand things is different from us, maybe even better than us sometimes, and people don't realize that. So I really hope this movie just makes people sit and think about everyone around them, because you can never make assumptions about anybody.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what you've gone through, what you're going through, and what you will go through. So how can I?
Right.
I really hope this movie makes people have patience, empathy, and understanding.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. What was the best experience about making this movie, Gavin?
Best experience?
Yeah.
So in between shots, Jacob and I would play like Mario Kart and stuff, and Pilot Jacob and I would play Mario Kart and Nintendo and stuff.
Oh, nice. You got to have a real kind of camaraderie.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. What was it like? What work did you do to get into the character?
Sorry?
What work did you do to get into the character?
So I talked with Austin, or Osman, and he told me a lot about his brother and how he'd act, you know, so I took to that. Yeah.
Very nice. What, if you say one reason why you think people should see this movie, what would it be?
It's very motivational, and you know, I think it's a very happy movie, and you know, people go through struggles, and I think at the end of the day, it can be good. So.
Nice. What if you could play one character? What would it be?
One character in anything?
Yeah, in anything. Your ideal Hollywood role.
I don't know. I like Thor. Thor that'd be dope.
Well, you know what? They'll probably do a reboot at some point.
Yeah,
You know, so-
hopefully, that'd be super cool.
Nice. Well, it's a pleasure to talk to you.
Great talking to you.
Joel Smallbone, how does it feel to be part of this renaissance of sort of faith-based filmmaking? So that, like, I mean, every year, but like, you know, yours, Unsung Hero, Unbreakable Boy, but just all like every year, there's high-quality productions going around.
I like renaissance. I think that's a good word. Man, I have to admit, I've had some pinch myself moments with it, you know, because I've always believed in the religious arts. Speaking of Renaissance, if you go back to the Renaissance era, it was so much, the Sistine Chapels, it was so much about people creating religious art, plays, paintings, and so on. And so it feels like a full circle moment in many ways, you know, and I think, I really believe this is just the beginning. I really do. I believe that we're right on the precipice of seeing these types of film launch into new places, to launch into new worlds, into new eras of human history. And so excited to be a part of it, and more to come.
Yes, very excited. So why would you encourage people to see this movie in particular?
I just say, look, if you believe in the power of family, if you believe in biological or otherwise, if you believe in the power of, you know, the young overcoming some of the issues that have either been put on them physically, issues that have been put on them emotionally or culturally, then I feel this is a film that represents that. And I like Jon Gunn's style, the director, because he is not he's not cookie cutter, and he's not cute about it. And he gets into the grit of the story. And so, if you want an honest story, I believe this is powerful too. And lastly, I'm a Zachary Levi guy. He's a friend, and I feel like he's got more to do in his time as an actor, and I'm excited to be able to cheer him on as well.
Well, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. Remember, this is the Religion Unplugged podcast, your one-stop shop for all the best religious news and culture.